And then you're like, oh shit, a cop. Boop. Boop, 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 boop.
And then the car says, quit it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video.
We're in this bad unit. We're not going anywhere, but we're in this unit right now.
We're in the garage, but
we're in the famous garage.
yeah, it's the one we built this freaking unit of a car.
Yeah, it's bad unit. So today, here's what we're doing. It's gonna might be a little hard to see right now, but you see this bad little unit right here, this red switchy switch. That's what we're gonna be showing you how to install today. And this right here is mounted right next to the boost gauge, just in all of its gloriness, and it is called the freedom switch. Nick, do you want to explain to them what the freedom switch is?
The freedom switch essentially is just America in a switch.
Hell yeah, brother!
All right, guys, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Okay, so basically the freedom switch is a term that we've basically just come up with to be funny, which is pretty fitting.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like. So basically in these cars, if you were to turn his car on, but you don't really need to, the traction control's right here, as you can see. And when you were to hold the button and shut it completely off, like so, you would hold it and then it'll do it.
There it is.
Advanced track off. And then you click it back on and you're good. Well, when it's actually off, it's not actually off.
Yeah.
It's off partially, but if you guys that go to the track or anything like that, or even sometimes on the street, if you feel your car between shifts just kind of like jerking like a crap ton, I noticed it a lot personally when I was going to the drag strip a lot, especially on a sticky tire.
Get that wheel hop.
Get the wheel hop, and it just jerks a lot between gear, and I was like, what the heck is it? And then I don't know if you guys remember way back, I forget which video that was. I think it was when we were putting the skins on these seats.
Way back. It was when we met that guy that was helping me with the ported 18 intake manifold.
That's right. Yeah.
That was way before these bad units came in. Once we get to that
But
point.
basically there's a switch under your hood that you would basically take that connector out, and it'll completely shut off your brain to the
traction
control module, or whatever you want to call it. So it will be 100% off. So basically what we did, if you show them,
yep. So right now the switch is turned on, or turned off, I guess, meaning traction control is on.
It's still good, but when he flips
now
that
watch
switch,
what happens when I flip this bad little unit. Everything is now off.
But do you notice how it didn't say advanced track off? That's because we're not doing the same thing. What we're doing is completely losing connection to that system. So it is completely off. There is no traction control at all, which means A, it cannot cut timing. So it will give you full nuts all the time, which is great for going to the track or even just ripping on it. But it could also be bad if you go in the rain. If you get caught in the rain or anything like that, or you find an instance where you need it. But that's where the switch comes in handy, because if anything like that happens, it's right there, easily accessed, flip it, boom, back to normal. This is a very helpful thing in this situation. So if you guys are interested at this point, I would suggest you keep watching.
Yep, because like he said, we basically routed that connector inside the car. And in this next clip, we're going to show you guys how to do it yourself.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, guys, so Nick is going to show you what's up underneath the hood. I'm going to show you what's inside the car. Obviously, this has already been installed. We already did this before Mustang Fest, but now we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit. We're going to retrace our steps and show you how we did it.
All right, guys, so as you can see, it's really hard to even tell what we're talking about here because it was tucked so perfectly, in my opinion.
That sound tube came in handy, my guy.
Yes, it did. But if you see this connector right here, these two green with orange or brown wires would typically be connected together. That's what completes the circuit. And basically what that guy, like we were mentioning, was telling us is you unplug this and then boom, it does what we do when we turn the switch off.
Yep.
So what we did is the same thing I did in my car, is you get two wires, you cut this wire first off, connect both of those wires to one side and then one to the other side, run them into the car somehow,
which
connect it up to
we
your
routed
switch.
mine. If you get the camera down here, you might be able to see it. It's tucked up right underneath here. It's run down underneath here, zip tied again, and then we ran it through the sound tube through the firewall. It was the most clutch, no pun intended.
It's really even hard to tell what we even did. I mean, you can see the wiring a little bit zipped right here, but basically it runs through that sound tube. There's two wires, like I said, one that would go to that side, one that would go to the other side, connected up to the switch, and then basically the switch is the one-way momentary switch. Flip it one way, it's on. Flip it one way, it's off.
Yep.
So literally all we did was we wired a switch in line with that connector.
Basically.
And that basically gets you the result that we did, so.
Okay guys, so inside the car, obviously there's a hole right down here in between my pedals, actually right next to where the steering column comes in, where we had to drill in the firewall for the sound tube. So we didn't have to remove any of the pedals or anything like that. Typically, I believe the one hole that you would come through is right behind the engine block in that really
right
hard
behind
spot.
The driver's cylinder head. There'd be where that sound tube would have come from the factory.
Yeah,
the original one.
And that's where it comes in right behind the gas pedal. So if you were to do that, you'd have to take the gas pedal off.
Yeah, that's the way I routed mine. So most of you guys will probably route it that way. There's 3 10mm, and then you can disconnect the connector and pull the gas pedal out.
It's actually really easy.
Yeah.
But if not, in my case, we ran it through the sound tube, ran it straight up, and then I mounted mine into my gauge pillar here. So obviously this is aftermarket, but we took a nice little drill bit right here, tapped in, boom, that's that. Routed the wires up through the dash, took these side pieces off through the fuse, routed them up. Now, what we're doing today, one of the things that we'll show you guys throughout this actually lights up. When we first installed this, we didn't tap into any 12-volt power source to actually give this power to light up. We're going to be doing that today, but everything else is still going to be exactly the same. The only thing we're going to be doing is tapping into the wire to the gauge for power, and that's that.
Yeah, for us this will be super easy because we already have power lit gauges in here. So we're just going to tap into that, and then it'll literally be like 6 inches of wire going from that.
If even. It might only be like 3.
Yeah.
But to get this off, it's a little bit different than the factory one. Actually, just barely. So the factory one actually has clips up here that hold it in place. This has a screw. So first thing I'm going to have to do is remove this Phillips head screw, and then this will actually pop out a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're basically going to unscrew this, pull this out, and then we'll show you some footage of us getting it all wired up, and that'll pretty much be that.
Cool.
So let's do it. Alright guys, so we got the gauge pod pulled down, and as you can see this wire hanging out right here, this is what goes onto the back of the boost gauge to actually give it power. So Nick sheared off a little bit of the loom right there, and we're going to use this handy little unit.
Some people don't like these. We call them shark bites.
But they work.
They work when you do it properly.
You have to shear off the loom.
If you want to, I mean, most of the time, sometimes it doesn't work, but if you don't take the loom off. But when you take the loom off, you can see right there, it'll line right up with it, and then you can put your other wire in there, and then you're good to go. Okay, so this is the other wire we're going to add. There's basically a 3rd prong on the back of this switch that we wired in that we were making this video about. But it's right back there in the middle there. I don't know if you can see it in there or not. It's
right in there.
Right in there. But that 3rd prong is what powers the light in there to turn it on.
So essentially what we're going to do is use the shark bite to tap this end right there, and then this is going to plug in to the back of the switch.
And it will only give it power when the key's on, obviously, so we're not draining batteries or anything like that.
And the way that we tapped in, because when we did the this wire actually for the boost gauge, we actually tapped into the headlights. So this light actually only comes on whenever the headlights are detected to be on.
Yeah.
So it works out perfect because we only really want this lit up when it's nighttime.
It's pretty cool because when it gets dark enough, obviously you have that sensor on your dash for when it detects it's dark enough and it automatically cuts your lights on. But not only does it cut those on, it cuts on the boost lights.
Yeah, it cuts on the boost lights, and it'll cut on the switch now.
Yeah.
So it'll be pretty sweet. But we'll give you guys an update as soon as we get this all wired in and everything put back together. We'll show you what's going on. All right, guys. Well, we are in this beautiful unit right here. And we are running up to O'Reilly's, or Advance, whichever one we decide to stop at. I might be feeling squirrely, go to the Irishman. But apparently that switch might have taken a shit on us.
Yeah.
So it lit up for a couple seconds. We're like, yeah, it worked. And all of a sudden it stopped. We're like, ah, fuck. Well, so yeah, we're gonna go see if they have a different one, or maybe something that's a little bit better, because I've had light up switches like that before in other cars and they've never been a problem. I've never had one, you know, short out on me like that or cause any problems. So we're gonna see what we can figure out. If they have a better one, then we'll just get a better one. If not, then, you know, so be it. We'll plug it back in and tackle it another day. But at least now you guys know how to install the switch and actually get all the freedom horsepower muscles that America has to offer in a Mustang. And yeah, we'll see you when we're back in the store.
All right, Andy, tell them what we're doing.
Well, as you can tell, we're in the beautiful tampon machine again. We are going to O'Reilly's
For the second time.
for the third time today.
Yeah. Well, the first time was the van, or AutoZone.
Well, that was just to get the wire, but so do you want to explain what's been happening?
So Andy thought it'd be a bright idea. No.
Andy thought. You thought wrong, boy.
So basically, we were testing the light on the old red switch, and we were like, oh, in the last video it screwed up. It was just a cheap little switch. What do you expect? Well, what actually happened was it probably didn't break at all. We shorted it and it blew a 5-amp fuse in the battery junction box under the hood, because when we were trying to test it, we must have touched one of the power wires and we shorted it and it went poof. And then I was like, well, let me put a jumper wire in there just to make sure it goes back to normal. And I did, and it fixed it. And we're like, okay, sweet. And Andy's like, well, let's plug it in. I thought he just meant plug in the switch itself to make sure it was good, which we did and tested it. We were good. And he's like, all right, now let's test the light. I'm like, let's not do that. And he did it anyway, and then it went poof a second time because I had a jumper wire in there. So it poofed the next thing it could poof, which was under the dash and the battery junction box, which is a fuse for that fuse, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's definitely
which is this tiny little 15 ampere guy right here. So I don't know if the store will even have these. They might have the 5-amp one, but so yeah, that's what we're doing. We just don't know what we're doing, which is the problem.
We're just winging it, guys.
So
that's what we do.
He just had to have his dumb little light up switch.
Yes I did.
But yeah, I guess that's the purpose of the video though. So if you're enjoying all this tomfoolery, idiotic,
then you know what? If you guys, like he said, if you're enjoying all of this, then get all of your friends to subscribe so we can start making money from YouTube to pay for these fuck ups. That's what we need to have happen, because this is costing us a pretty penny, and you know, it's not as enjoyable for us as it is for you guys.
Yeah, so I applaud you all if you just leave a comment and make fun of how stupid we are.
Yes, please.
So yeah, we'll see if we can figure this out, and hopefully they'll have what we need. If not, then we might just have to postpone it, and I'll get some from work or something so we can get
let's just say this. How about in the comments, if you guys find this funny, just comment dumb 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 tits bitch, and he and I will get it. Dumb 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 tits bitch.
Just like that.
Yep, just like that.
All right, we'll be back in a sec. All right, for future reference, if you make the same mistake we did, this 5-amp fuse right here is the one that's gonna blow if you short it out. And then if you're stupid and bridge that gap with a jumper wire, There's gonna be a fuse.
I'll let you show them. I'm looking.
There's gonna be a fuse down here. Grab my phone so you can actually see it. There's gonna be a fuse. It's gonna be that blue one on the top right. It's gonna be fuse 37. It's a 15 amp. And those are really the only two that'll blow. So now we got it working. He's just gonna drill the hole in his gauge cluster a little bigger so we can fit this new fuse, or not fuse, new toggle switch in. We got the light working and everything good to go. So once we get to that point where it's all good to go, we will show you. Okay guys, we're hopping in the car just to give you the full effect. As you can see, we got our new switch wired right there, looking fancy.
Oh yeah, buddy.
So
give him a little show.
Step one, you turn your key on, it goes green because that's the good mode. You're being polite, you're not doing anything assholery. And then you're like, oh shit, bud, there's a crowd I need to run over, so let's just frickin' slap her into race mode real quick. Oh, bud!
And she goes red.
Yeah, buddy.
She's a devil bitch.
And then you're like, oh shit, a cop. Boop. Boop, 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 boop.
And then the car says, quit it!
Quit it!
Enough!
That's enough slices! Alright guys, well that's basically it. As you could tell, that was quite funny because we...
Dude, that was...
aggravating, ouch. I tell you what, but we got her. Future reference, if you're going to do this, disconnect the battery so you don't screw your shit up. Make your...
that was gross.
Make your connections and then test it.
But you know what? Shout out to O'Reilly's. They gave us a free 15 amp fuse.
Yeah, that was crazy. Super nice guys there.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Those guys were so chill, man.
God, that guy's so sick.
But we got it done. It's better than it was the first time, I think. I like that switch better anyway.
I'll probably get one too when I have a gauge cluster for some reason in the future. I don't know why I would have one. That's crazy. That's crazy. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.